delay pedals are some of the most commonly used and versatile effects out there. And in this video, I'm going to show you 5 creative things you can do with them and also talk about different ways to think about using them. For starters, a delay pedal just adds echoes to whatever you play. So if you play this, a delay pedal turns it into this. Now, right off the bat, the most important thing here is to notice that a delay pedal is a rhythmic effect. It adds rhythm to whatever you play. Now, sometimes it can be tempting to just turn on a delay pedal to have a little bit of an echo back there behind everything you're playing. It's just nice to have a little bit of echo activity behind everything. But I'm saying don't do that. For pro tip number 1, I'm saying don't turn on a delay pedal just to have it be doing something. Don't be vague. Anytime you use a delay pedal, you should be using it because it's adding something rhythmically important to what you're playing. So, like, I'm talking about writing a riff to the delay. If you want examples of this, I'm about to play one, but if you want famous examples of this, look at this, Where the Streets Have No Name by U2, or the middle part of Brighton Rock by Queen, or Dancing in the Street by Van Halen. In each of those, if you turned off the delay pedal while they were playing, it would like kill the riff. And that's the example, that's the test for what I'm saying you should be trying to do with the delay pedal. And the reason is that it'll make you more selective, it'll force you to be more intentional and more creative. And I think in general, like, those are good habits to form as a musician. Okay, so for the example I put together for this, I'm using the Joshua Echo from MXR, and I'm using it in a very simple way. I just have it set to give me one instant slapback echo, like this. And what I noticed while I was messing around with that is that if I continually changed how I was voicing each chord, like if I had to play D minor a bunch of times in a row, but every time I had to strum it, I moved to like a different D minor on the neck, or I was like constantly changing the inversions. If I fed that into the delay pedal, the way it interacted with the repeats ended up being much more interesting than I expected. It sounded kind of unusual. And that's the kind of discovery I want you to try to make by using delay pedals as specifically as possible. By the way, if you want to buy any of the pedals in this video, I have affiliate links with Sweetwater, which means if you want to buy it from Sweetwater, you can use one of my affiliate links and I'll get a small commission on anything you buy. I'll put the affiliate links in the video description. Money! All right, for the next pro tip, many delay pedals can also be pressed into service as modulation effects. Typically chorus, flanger, and vibrato. For a delay pedal to be able to do this, it needs to have a knob or knobs for modulation, or sometimes they'll call it LFO for low frequency oscillator. If you want to, we'll start with chorus. If you want to turn a delay pedal into a chorus pedal, you have to make the delay time fast, like 20 to 30 milliseconds, if you want to think about it that way. Set the mix to be half and half, or 50-50 between your signal and the delay signal, and then set the repeats on minimum. In this case, what you're about to hear, I'm using the Benson Delay. And as you can hear, with the LFO speed way up, it's like a totally legit chorus effect. Now, part of the fun of designing your own modulation effects with a delay pedal is that sometimes you end up getting some extra personality from the delay pedal that you might like more than your standalone modulation effects. So for instance, now I'm going to use the Benson as a flanger. The way to do that is to make the delay time as fast as it'll possibly go and then turn up the repeats or turn up the feedback. In this case, you're going to hear it's like not a typical flanger sound, but I think that's part of the fun of it. Now, if we're going to talk about having fun with the like extra character you get from using a delay pedal like this, I often find you get the biggest dose of personality by using it as vibrato. And in that case, you got to turn your mix up to be 100% wet, turn the repeats back down to minimum, and then set the delay time to be as fast as it'll go. If you do that with the Benson delay, you get a really cool vibrato that had like a lot of lo-fi nostalgia soaked into it, and I loved that. All right, the next pro tip is some delay pedals will give you multiple delay lines, which just means you can have more than one echo happening at the same time, but they'll be on different rhythms. Classically, the go-to choice here is to set up one echo on a quarter note and the other echo on a dotted eighth note. That tends to be a gold mine if you're trying to like write a cool rhythm. A lot of the Strymon delays are set up to give you some version of this. The Joshua Echo I used on pro tip number 1 can do this. But for this example, I was using the Keeley Dark Side, which has a tape echo in it that is like set up to model multiple tape heads. The Dark Side can do this thing where it'll give you 4 repeats at the same volume. So instead of having like one repeat that might get quieter over 4 successive things, the Dark Side can just give you 4 that are right in your face. Now, if you want to use that rhythmically, you can. But if you turn up the delay time very fast, you lose the rhythm and it takes on this like fluttery, dreamlike quality that is also cool in its own right. While I was messing around with that, I discovered this riff that was pretty simple on its own. But if I played it through the Keeley Dark Side, it turned into this. The next pro tip is if you have a delay pedal with stereo capability, you can use that to transform a mono rig or a mono signal chain into a stereo one. All you have to do is put the delay last, set up a couple delays that are so fast that they're like imperceptible as repeats, and record out of the stereo output of that pedal. Sometimes you might need to add a little bit of modulation to make it happen, but a little goes a long way. My go-to for this is the Strymon Deco. The double tracker side of this pedal is set up to do this exact thing. Now, you might be thinking, I said you should never turn on a delay just for the sake of having the delay on. But this is the version of it I'm okay with. If you're going to disobey pro tip number 1, it's okay with me if you're doing it to create a stereo image out of a mono signal chain. I do some version of this for everything I record for YouTube. Anyway, for the example I cooked up for this video, I'm going to start by playing in mono, and then halfway through, I'm going to turn on the Deco, and it's going to switch to being stereo. This will be more dramatic if you're listening on headphones. My last pro tip is, if you have a delay pedal that can take expression pedals, the coolest thing you can do is set it up so that the expression pedal is controlling delay time. If you go wild messing with the delay time on an expression pedal, it creates this very intense pitch shift that I love. For this example, I'm using the Supro Delay. This can take expression pedals, and it gives you a choice of what you want the expression pedal to control. The choices are delay level, delay time, and repeats. I think this is a no-brainer. You should just put on delay time and leave it there. It creates this very glitchy WTF thing that I love. Now, you might be thinking that's not your taste, and I get that. But there are ways to use this that are sort of more subtle and like vibed out and almost low key. And that's what I tried to do this time. Except it was me, so it was barely any of those things.